Welcome to Kicking Ass and Taking Names, the Business Owners Empowerment Podcast. I'm your host, Marlon Griffith, Esquire. Join us on this podcast journey as we help you break free from the grind and get your business to work for you. We will delve into impactful conversations with business owners, corporate leaders, professional service providers, and industry innovators that will provide you with insights and actionable strategies that will transform your entrepreneurial path, boost your success, and put you in control of your business journey so you can kick ass and take names. Welcome to episode 16, Building a Profitable Workplace Culture, a conversation with Jerry Holloway. As your business grows, you will have less contact with your client. You will rely on your staff or employees to not only provide the service, but engage directly with the customer, the client. Business today are investing a lot of time in the customer experience. How many times have you received a service and almost immediately got a request for a Google review? Whether it's Uber or some other service, everyone wants a rating and wants a review. But maybe as much time should also be spent in the employee experience, prioritizing your employees for the client success. In this episode, we kind of look into that. My guest, Jerry Holloway, is the general manager of Lindsay Volkswagen in Northern Virginia. He's been a general manager for almost 20 years. And under his stewardship, Lindsay Volkswagen has consistently been ranked among the highest in the area for customer satisfaction, as well as employee retention. So when I had a conversation with Jerry, we focused on prioritizing the employee experience. What is the secret sauce to how he's been able to retain so many of his employees for many years? Now, you understand, if you ever been in the dealership, as I have been many times, there's a lot of moving parts. From the buying experience, to the finance experience, to the service experience, a lot of moving parts. And the best dealerships are able to provide the top level service with consistency and quality. So in this podcast, we decided to lift the hood, as we say, of Lindsay Volkswagen and discuss with Jerry that's how he's been able to build such a profitable workplace culture. Hope you enjoy this episode. Hope you learn a lot. And as usual, if you don't already, please follow us on all the social media channels at Griffith Law Group. Until next time, you keep kicking ass and taking names. Welcome to the next episode of Kicking Ass and Taking Names. I'm your host, Marlon Griffith, Esquire. My next guest is Jerry Holloway. My relationship with Jerry extends over 20 years ago when I went to Jerry to purchase at the time my dream vehicle. Jerry was my sales guy. And 20 years later, 5 cars later, Jerry is finally on my podcast. Welcome, Jerry Holloway.
Thank you so much, Marlon. It's great to see you. I am honored to be on your podcast.
I love flattery. He's sales. You're gonna see, folks. He is good at what he does.
I'll try to turn it down.
We're gonna get into a little bit of that. So, Jerry, you are now the general manager, and you have been for a while, but you're general manager of Lindsay Volkswagen in Dulles.
That is correct, yes, sir.
How did it get there from 20 years ago when we first
Oh,
met?
boy, what a long haul, Marlon. First, I just want to kind of touch on our relationship. So before, when my wife and I first met each other, and she knew what I understood what I did, and we would talk about my day. She was always a bit surprised. She's like, "Okay, who is this person, Marlon, and why are we talking about him? Right? Isn't it just a customer? I mean, I don't even remember the people I bought cars from." And so it's really, I'm really grateful that we have that kind of relationship, and that it's more than just, you need a car every now and then, and I'm the person that you come to. But thank you for coming to me. So how did I get into it? I actually had no idea, no expectation of getting the industry. It was a temporary position while I was trying to figure out some things, and it just bit me. I mean, it is just exciting. I was a computer nerd. I studied computer science. I studied coding, programming back before it was what it is today, and that's what I expected to be doing. And I worked for a little while for a group called Pohanka in Maryland, and I just got bit. It's just fun. Every day is different. You meet a lot of interesting people, and it's never boring. It's always a challenge. So I was fortunate to have Lindsay recruit me from Pohanka. Lindsay's mostly in Virginia. They have some Maryland presence as well, and they brought me over to open up a new store for them in Alexandria. And then when you and I met, I was in the process of building this new Volkswagen store, and so they asked me to basically work at the Lexus store where you and I met while we were building the Volkswagen store.
Now, and I think it's important to kind of talk about our initial interaction, right? I guess I'm like probably like many customers where at that point the internet was working. We had internet, so I'd done all of my research. I kind of knew what the car was, what the price should be, the price range should be. So I was what I would consider to be an educated consumer.
Very much.
So now but you sat and we just started talking about everything but the car, right? And it struck me that you asked me about myself, about my family, right? And then obviously I asked you about yours, and that became the beginning of a relationship. Now I felt very special, Jerry, but I kind of guess you probably do that with other customers too. Tell me about how did you get to be able to do that?
That is a great
Train or
question, and
natural?
I will tell you that it is not as easy with most people. So you're a pretty interesting guy, and you and I have a lot of similarities. So it's really easy to talk to you. It's not always easy to talk to other people. It's probably how I grew up. I was in a military family. We traveled all over the world, and got exposed to a lot of really great things. And so that probably helped me to be able to relate to people a little bit easier. So it's an experience I was grateful for, and thank you for saying that. It was definitely our interaction. It's not what's listed in any sales book. It's not what's taught in any sales class.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree. It was definitely a great foundation, and I'm really fortunate to have it. So thank you.
So let's talk about. I'm going to jump ahead to your current role as general manager of Volkswagen, and I believe you have at minimum 50 employees that you are responsible for, right? And you also have to deal with your company, which is Lindsay, but also deal with the automaker, which is Volkswagen. So, and then that's a lot of different hats that you have to wear, a lot of balls that you have to juggle. Employees, your direct boss, and the manufacturer.
And what about the customers? What about the customers, Marlon? Right?
See, well, and the customers, because people like me come and knocking on your door, and I expect to have that personal service because
That's
I
right.
know you.
You are
But
the most
yes,
important, right?
but talk. Yeah, I want to talk about every one of those
I think that's
stakeholders
what
in your business.
I'm sure there's a lot of industries like it, but obviously I've got the most experience in this one. It is fascinating. It is so multifaceted. I mean, it's just the layers are almost hard to even fathom. And I think that's what most people like about it, right? There's no day that's the same. You have a plan every day, and you're lucky if you get 10% of that plan accomplished. But you got to have the plan, or you're not going to get anywhere. So yeah, we have the manufacturer that we have to obviously work with, and that's in each dealership is essentially multiple businesses in one, right? So you have a service department, you have a finance department, you have an accounting department that makes everything work, a parts department, a sales department. Sometimes you have separate new and used car sales departments, and everyone's got different employees, they've got different priorities, and they've all got to work together. And then the manufacturer, you're dealing with their parts division. You're dealing with their wholesale division where you're buying inventory from them, vehicles. You're dealing with their finance arm, whether it's captive or whatever, and whatever incentives they have to help make their cars more attractive to the consumers. You've got their marketing and advertising branches. So it's really, yeah, it's big, and that's what makes it fun. So it really is. It's really all of it's about the people, right? So how do you get the most out of people? How do you really make them feel valued and appreciated and enjoy what they do and feel rewarded by it? And then one of the things I'm really grateful for with our company is it's a family-owned business, and we have a management company that operates it. So I report to the investors, and their priority is taking care of the employees. And I have a lot of peers in the industry. I've been doing this over 30 years, almost 35 now. And most everyone positions it as, well, our customers are the most important. And yeah, that's absolutely the truth. I think our approach with having employees as the priority, if we take care of the employees, they take care of our customers. And then our customers actually are the most important. But if you don't take care of your employees, none of that can happen. So that's one thing I really am grateful for with my organization.
Let's talk about the employees.
Okay.
How do you show and develop and show the value of the employees, and how do you develop the employees?
I think that's always evolving, right? Maybe when you and I started out in our careers, we had different expectations. As some of today's new entries into the market, some of today's newer workforce, the money is important to them. Maybe recognition, maybe flexible schedule, definitely atmosphere, culture, environment, and feeling like they're a part of something. So I think it's a moving target. We try to have certain things in place that we feel that everyone would appreciate. So a good culture, respectful. We try not to use inappropriate language, even though it seems silly. That can kind of get out of hand. We do a lot of training, whether it's through the manufacturer, through our own company, about how to work with customers, with each other, to make sure that we're respectful of everyone, regardless of what their background or preferences are. And then I think we're flexible. We have some things that we're not flexible on. Here's the job, here's what's expected, et cetera, et cetera. But we want them to bring their own personality to it and their own experiences and their intelligence and help us to improve. Maybe 20 years ago, this was a great way of doing it, but now, the last 10 years is different, and we don't want to get stuck in those modes. We want this fresh perspective coming in and helping us evolve. So hearing them, respecting them, telling them, reminding them when they're doing things the right way, carefully helping them when they're not. I think those are some of the things that have really worked for us over the years.
I can be a testament to that because, again, we just reconnected about, I guess it's been almost a month now. Yep. When I came out there, and people should understand the value of relationships. I mean, where I live is probably 50 miles away, 40 miles away from,
at least, and not in the time. Right? In the time, it's even more.
You are out in that crazy Northern Virginia traffic over by the airport, and I basically go by at least 3 different Volkswagen dealerships. One is literally 5 miles from my house to come see you all, and the reason, in large part, is the professionalism, the way you run the dealership, right? Where people are responsive when you walk in. There's multiple different people that will speak to you. there's a more of a conversational relationship. Doesn't feel like someone is trying to push something to me. And I found that to be very. And you weren't even there, right? When I came, you weren't even there. You were
I was
wearing
just
one of
gonna
the other
say, I think I appreciate that you're testing that to make sure it works when I'm not there, because I had no idea you were even coming in. I found
Of
out after
course,
you were there.
that's true. That's true. But so I saw, or I guess I should say I experienced kind of what you were speaking about, how you the investment you put into the employees, right, into your employees. Um, and that's a challenge for many of us who own businesses of getting employees to a consistency, I guess you should say, in the way they perform their job, how they interact with the actual customer. And that's, like you said, a moving target. That is definitely a challenge. But you said something I want to jump to. You said you begin your day with a plan, and you might get to 10% of it, and then, you know, this is a family show, but that S thing happens, right? And this
Yes,
is what you
yes.
do. But tell us about how, at least, do you begin your day? How do you plan it?
So I think the 10% is optimistic. It's probably not even that much. So there are certain things that we know have to be done every day, right? Maybe things that are already scheduled, maybe things that are just part of running the business, whether it's the boring reconciliation of accounts, the acquisition of inventory, whatever it is. Maybe we've got reviews with employees, counseling sessions with employees. We've got to terminate someone. We've got to interview someone, hire someone. So all those things are planned. And then because we're a customer-facing retail business, it changes all the time, right? So a customer comes in and they have a need. They feel like they need to speak to a manager, maybe the general manager. An employee problem comes up that we weren't expecting, and maybe somebody needs my help to resolve it. Because of our relationship with this brand, Volkswagen, which we've really worked hard to culminate, we're really close, and sometimes they'll have VIPs that are from other markets in the world, and they want to come see a Volkswagen dealership, and so they'll pop in on us. So those are the kinds of things that we just have to adapt, right, and roll with. And I'm fortunate to have a flexible team. Your point about our employees, I mean, they're like family, right? We spend probably more time together than we do with our own families, and so it's important that we respect each other, understand each other, get along with each other. And I'm really fortunate. We've got a great team, and it does change. This industry is typically a really high turn industry. People do not stay long at one location or in the industry. It's very stressful working with the consumers, the retail market. But we try to balance it with all the things that we do to make it worthwhile, right? Whether it's the way they're compensated, the schedule, the flexibility, the training, the teamwork to support them when they're having challenges, all those things. So we have people that have relocated out of the area and left us, and it's been hard to lose them. And then as soon as they come back in the area, they come back to work with us. People that maybe come to us and they're in a higher position, right? Maybe they were a manager somewhere else, but they've got a friend that works with us, or they hear about us and they come take a lower position just to get their foot in the door. And I'm lucky to have people, the talented people that we have coming to find us. I don't think I necessarily answered your schedule.
Yeah, I was doing a little research, and I came across one of the social media pages. I think it may have been even right, and it was indicated the length of time. Maybe you don't even notice that certain people posted or said that that Lindsay Volkswagen was where they worked, and you had a very high percentage of folks who said they were been there for more than 5 years.
Wow. You have to send that to me. You have to send that to me. Please send that to me.
So that's kind of why I'm like, what is, I know it's a competitive industry out here, but what is the, you're not giving it to me, Jerry. What is the secret sauce that's allowed you to be able to successfully retain so much good talent right? In this very competitive area that we live in.
I don't know if I have a single answer for you, Marlon. I wish I
Okay.
did. It's insanely competitive. So obviously there's a lot of great retailers in our market, and maybe some people are lured away by the prestige of I want to go sell Range Rovers, I want to go work for a Mercedes store, Lamborghini. We've got all those around here, and we are very, very fortunate that people decide to stay with us. And I know that we're doing things right when that happens, but I'm not really sure if there's a single answer. We have a really good environment. We're really respectful. We show our employees we care about them. We have all the usual things that people need and want: good compensation, good benefits, 401k, all those things.
Sure.
I think scheduling is a big piece.
Mm.
This industry, it's a common term, something called bells, which I started with in the industry. It means you work from the opening bell to the closing bell. So that could be 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. if you're lucky enough to get out at 9 p.m. because sometimes customers have to come in at 9 p.m. That's what their schedule is. And so you're there till midnight. So I think we've tried to figure out a way to have a balance for our people so that if they're not taking care of themselves, they can't take care of anybody, right? Their family, their customers, their
Mm-hmm.
role. So we really push people to get the hell away from the job for a little bit, take their time off, take their weekends off, take their day off, use their vacation, all those things. Because when they do that, they're better, right? They're better with us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you
Is
you
that
like you really push your employees to have a what we call work-life balance,
Yes, for sure.
right? And I'm gonna get back to Lindsay in a moment, but talk
Okay.
about work-life balance. So you apparently a world-renowned cyclist.
I do enjoy cycling. Yes, sir. Yes. It's one of
That's
my
that's your
passions.
that's your that's your getaway.
That's my medicine. That's my therapy for sure.
And and how did you get into cycling?
It's a great question. I had enjoyed cycling for most of my youth. I was really excited about mountain biking for a long time. And, you have kids, things get busy. You don't get to golf, bike, whatever it is you enjoy doing as much.
Mhm.
And Mr. Lindsay, they've always been really philanthropic, really involved in local communities. And he got really excited about something called Bike to the Beach, which was initially for Autism Speaks, and now it's a lot broader. And it basically was a fundraiser, an awareness raiser for people with disabilities. It's a 100-mile bike ride in one day. It started in DC, and it rides from DC. I think, Marlon, it starts at like 5 o'clock in the morning when nobody's up. You get a police escort out of DC with this big group of riders, and then you ride to Dewey Beach, Delaware.
Mhm.
And it's a long ride, and it's inspiring to see the kind of people who do it. You'll see a grandmother out there riding for their grandchildren on an old Huffy, right? And you're just like, if they can do it, I can do it.
Right,
So,
right.
so that got me into cycling, and then it just has been a passion I've enjoyed since. So that was probably about 15 years ago, I think.
Okay. Now, now
I'm gonna
you've
get you on
also,
a bike. I'm gonna get
you've
you on
ridden
a
your
bike.
bike other places than that, though.
Why do you say that?
I don't know, because I believe you may have ridden your bike in Colorado.
I did, yes. Did we talk about that?
No, no. Hey, Jerry, I do my research.
So yeah. So when I love experiencing new places, and if I can take my bike somewhere, then I try to. If not,
Sure.
I will rent a bike while I'm there and just go riding places. So Colorado, I was not ready for that. The elevations,
Yeah.
the options a little thinner, and I rode with a good friend who's maybe 15 years younger than me. So it was definitely it was work for sure. But yeah, I try to. It's something I really enjoy, and I try to do it wherever I can.
And do you also do like lunch rides with some of your staff?
All right, are we gonna get personal here? What's going on?
No, no, we
Yes.
are getting. Of course, this is a conversation.
I know.
But I think it's brilliant because when you say you don't know like what you do to keep retention, you
Yeah.
do know. I'm just sharing that this is part of what it does this, right?
Yes.
And tell us about these lunch rides that you do.
So occasionally we'll be able to get together with a group of folks from vendors, Volkswagen, and some employees, and we'll just get together and get a quick ride in for lunch. And it's one of the things that I know you're an avid golfer, and I think it's similar in that you actually get to have great conversations on the bike. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Unless someone's trying to beat you up a hill, then it's hard to talk. But otherwise,
Right.
it's a really great way to connect.
Yeah. 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 And it's kind of so you get to know somebody outside of the strict work environment.
Absolutely.
And the more you get to know somebody, the more you like someone, the easier it is to work with that person.
Sure. And if they're from the manufacturer or if they're a vendor, then you weaken them by really riding hard, and then you can negotiate with them better.
So now you take me to my next topic, right? To my next, because we were talking about the stakeholders and we focus on the employees, but now I want to get to what you just mentioned. The manufacturer, because part of your hat is negotiation, right? Trying to get
Right.
the best deal you can get for Lindsay, because you have responsibilities to that bottom line, the profit and loss. So again, tell us kind of how does that process work for you, and what things are you thinking about when you're negotiating with these manufacturers?
So the manufacturer is a little bit different because it's fixed pricing, right?
Mhm.
So there are other things that we can do, and I think a lot of franchise retailers, depending on the brand, can have an adversarial relationship with their manufacturer, with their OEM, and that can make it really difficult, right? And while every manufacturer can make mistakes. We're not always 100% on the same page. We really try to figure out where we can be good partners, and then through that partnership, we both win. So for some of the things that are within our control are supply. Sometimes there's plenty and sometimes there's less. And if you're not watching where the demand is and what the market really needs, you can get in trouble very quickly with having too much supply. And then there's a loan that dealers have called floor plan that gets out of control very quickly. And that's a huge expense and can really be detrimental to the business. So you got to know that, and you've got really good salespeople from the manufacturer telling you that you should take every car they offer you, and sometimes you should, and then sometimes you can't, or you shouldn't because of many different factors. On the other side, when we're negotiating with suppliers, other vendors we deal with, I think one of the things that we've really become known for is that we make vendors better. We're called the vendor breaker. So somebody comes in and says, hey, we've got this great widget for your industry. First of all, we talk to just about everybody. And I hope I don't get a lot of calls by saying that from people trying to sell me stuff. But we definitely want to hear, right? Maybe there's some new widget that we just have no exposure to that's going to improve our employee or customer experience and is going to help us improve our revenue, our profits, our CSI, anything. So when somebody comes to us, we evaluate, maybe give them some feedback during the presentation. But if we partner with them, we show them where it's not working. And when vendors come to us that we're already partnered with, most businesses, retail or otherwise, they like hearing, oh, you're great. You're doing things really well. Good for you. I'll check in with you again next month. And that's good. But what we ask our vendors is, tell us what we're doing wrong, right? We can see what we're doing right. Tell us what you see out there in the industry that somebody else is doing better, that is new and evolving, or that we're just blatantly missing, and you see it, right? You know all the data. You have a lot more information than I do about this particular topic. So tell me what it is, and then if you can help me solve it.
That's very important because a lot of a lot of us in businesses, we have those blinders on, and we're just laser focused on what we're doing, and laser focused on the company or entity in front of us, and we don't really know, you know, what's going on around us in our own industry. So it takes a lot for you to ask your vendors. And do you find them to be pretty open and sharing with you about these things?
Very much. Yeah, they're usually surprised the first time we ask.
Hmm.
But yeah, they can't wait to tell you what you're doing wrong, Marlon.
So let's you know, like I said, you have well over 50 employees at this location. So Jerry's not showing up in Dulles and Lindsay at Lindsay Volkswagen and doing everything,
No
right?
chance.
Right. So just talk to us a little bit about what kind of systems and processes have you put in place, and I know that's always evolving as well, to make sure that Jerry is not showing up at Dulles at Lindsay Volkswagen and doing everything.
That's a really that actually is in one of my notes. I'm really glad you brought that up. Um, you know, processes
Jerry
will
came with
continue.
notes.
Yeah, processes will continue to work even when other things fail. Right? When the shit hits the fan and Jerry can't be there, XYZ person can't be there. Systems work, processes work. So we're really focused on cross training, right? So everyone understands each other's roles, and if somebody's out, they can cover for them, and that again helps them to feel more valued. It
Mm.
improves their value because if they did decide to leave or we have an opportunity, they know that information now. You know they can easily learn the rest of the things that are required for whatever role we're considering them for. And other um, companies see them as more, oh, you know that? How do you know that when you were in this
Mhm.
role? So there's a lot of unanticipated benefits that come from it, but primarily we've got to have, it doesn't matter if every manager in the store is gone, can things still run? And I would say for the most part, yes. There's certain we're lean, right? It's like any business, we don't want to be overstaffed. We want to be able to have the right number of people doing the right job and being compensated very well.
Mhm.
But uh, we also, if somebody's out, we can pick up the slack pretty easily. I think the other piece is that because people actually like where they work and they feel good about the company, even if they've never, you know, Marlon comes in to pick up his car and he's coming in at 2 o'clock and it's supposed to be cleaned and ready. And I'm not the car wash guy. I can figure out how to wash the car, right? Because the
Mhm.
car wash guy's out sick or had a problem or whatever else. So I think we have a culture that just says step up and figure it out, right?
Okay. So cross training is one of the things that you do. What else?
And then we share a lot of information, right? So we don't silo people and say, well, you know, that's your department. You don't need to know about these other departments, or that's your role. You don't need. We really make sure that well, we try. We've got always can get better, but we try to make sure that everyone understands the overall operation and how things work and the why behind things, so that if we did need to ask them to step into something else, they get it and they can.
So now I want to ask you about your interaction with your managers, because as I see it, it's like you're the CEO, and then you have your C-suite, and I
Yep,
consider your managers to be your C-suite. Would you agree with that?
yep. I think that's
All right,
fair.
so let's talk about your interaction with your managers. How do you deal with that?
So I probably have a tendency to over communicate, and if they're watching, they will probably thumbs up that comment. But I really want them to be aware of everything that's going on. I see everybody that I work with as my replacement, and I want them to be.
Mm.
I want to make sure that, you know, if I, whatever, if
Right.
anything happens, I want somebody, I care about the people that are there, the company I work for, and the customers. And I don't want me to be the reason some of those things fail or people suffer because of it. So I really try to develop people and show them things that maybe they wouldn't learn in another place.
Sure.
So yeah, I'm pretty respectful. I'm not, I'm very demanding. I don't know where it came from, Marlon, but I have a weird exception brain. So I definitely recognize when people are doing things well, and I try to applaud them for it. But unfortunately, the things that really shine brightly to me are the problems. So
Right.
my kids can probably tell you that, right? As well as some of my employees. So I definitely try to, great, we made this mistake. This was something we could have done differently or better. What do we do next time? How do we make sure that this doesn't happen again?
And Jerry, if I could speak to that though, because you really just touched on this, a subject, right, with business owners and leaders in business, is the ability to be self aware, right? It's not about being perfect; it's about being self aware. So you know that you are that type of person, right? You kind of see the problems before you see the good, and that's who you are. But when I'm hearing you, you kind of understand that, and you kind of try to adjust your behavior accordingly, right?
Yes, I try.
Okay. All we can do is try. All right. Okay. So your role with your managers, you try to give them enough information, maybe too much information, as you said, so they can basically do your job.
Correct. Yes. And then, I will never fault them for asking, right? If they aren't sure, I want them to ask, but I really trust the people that we have on every level to make the right decision, right? Is it a win for our customer? Is it a win for our company? Then let's move forward, right?
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, we have the managers that we have are um, involved in overseeing sales and all the things related to it, whether it's inventory pricing, quoting scenarios for customers, managing the salespeople and their processes, coaching the salespeople, hiring the salespeople, disciplining the salespeople when necessary, responding to customers' feedback, positive and negative, making sure that the inventory team is keeping things looking right, that all of our digital marketing stays where it should. And obviously, I'm the end all of that, but each of those people is directly involved in making sure that each of these things is working correctly, that
Mhm.
the property looks good, that our display lot outside is neat and organized,
Mhm.
that we're not missing keys and leaving license plates around or customer information, copies of worksheets that have people's information on them. And those, there's a lot of little pieces um, that can be hard to manage for a lot of dealerships, right? They're just the little details, and we don't do things perfectly. When you come in, I want you to tell me what you see that that we can do better. And on the service side, parts side, we've really got some great technicians, some great service advisors. Those are the people that interact with the customer, understand the concern. Why are they here? Is it just for a regular service, a 20K, 100K, or are they having some issues that we need to try to figure out? And then they translate that to the technician, right? So the technician can help figure it out and get it resolved in the most cost-effective and fastest way possible. So the managers are overseeing all of those things. And are my technicians trained on all the latest? Do we have the right tools? Are the advisors trained in the latest? Are the systems that we have for communicating with our customers? Because everyone's super busy and people drop off their car and go. Are we
Mhm.
using the most effective communication? Are we sending them a good video description of what we found about the car? Are we texting them options for how they can do these things? Are we making sure we have the part available, the technician with the right skill available to resolve this, et cetera, et cetera? And then parts is its own animal, right? Our primary focus is Volkswagen, but we do sell and service everything. I think we have out of 300 plus pre-owned inventory right now, half is probably Volkswagen, 40 are Rivians, and then we have a bunch of other different vehicles out there. And so my parts team has to be able to have all the right parts in place as those customers are coming back to get maintenance performed, and as we're reconditioning the cars. And the parts managers, again, watching trends. Is there a supplier issue, and do I need to source a different supplier? So someday, Marlon, you and I are just going to sit down, and I'm going to understand your business, and we're going to dig into my business, and then we can write books.
That's the deal. I won't be on a bike ride, but I can get you on a golf course. How about that?
I'll be your caddy.
So let me go to this topic that in current times is somewhat hot. Let's just put it that way.
Yep.
As I was sitting at the dealership, and I said I went to buy my youngest his first car. So as I was sitting at the dealership, I just looked around and observed the folks at the dealership. And what I observed, you have a very diverse group of people that work at Volkswagen, right? Very diverse
Yes.
group of people.
Yes.
And my question, and you have not, I didn't give any warning about this, is that just what happened, or is that intentional? How did we arrive at the way of the diversity in your workforce?
Yeah, I think whether you know it or not, everything is intentional, right? They're just different levels. So our focus, we definitely don't have any prerequisites for what type of person's coming in. We just want them to be willing to learn, be engaged with what they're doing, that it's important to them. It's important to take care of the customer and be coachable so that we can help them to get better and better. And because our customer base is so diverse, it's critical for us to have a face that is comfortable for them to see when they come in, right? A voice that's comfortable, somebody that they could see themselves in and perhaps feel more comfortable working with. I think we're really lucky. The manufacturer talks about it a lot. All of them do. And I'm fortunate to be able to get exposed to what all of our brands do. But every manufacturer is, how do we attack this diverse market? How do we attack this? How do we make sure they know that we're their brand and that we care about them and we want them to be our customers? And I don't know if there really is an answer. Obviously, you want to advertise where they're going to see you. But once they come in, it's got to be comfortable, right? It's got to be, they've got to be able to see, wow, this place looks like someplace that I could feel comfortable with. I see people that are similar to me or at least care, even if they're not, right? Are they respectful of me? Are they asking me questions? Marlon, again, it's been almost 35 years. And in the beginning, I would hear stories, from maybe a woman, maybe somebody with a different sexual orientation, maybe somebody with different ethnicity, about an experience they had shopping for something else, right? And I had a hard time understanding it. I think it's gotten a lot better, but we still hear them. We still hear stories about, just the dumb people out there that just don't recognize that this person's here for a reason. And whether they're the buyer or not, they are here, right? Show them the respect, treat them well, and either they are the buyer and you don't know it, or they're influencing the buyer, right? And that's going to turn into a long-time relationship because nobody else appreciated that. Every other place I walked into made assumptions, right?
Right. So you basically made a business case for diversity.
Absolutely, yes.
Right. Whether you think it's the right thing or not, it's definitely
it's definitely the right thing. Yep. The other thing that I think we appreciate is all the different experiences that people have from wherever they came from, whether they grew up here or they grew up in another part of the world. They help all of us, right? All those different perspectives bring value and teach each of us something. And that's, I really love the collaboration that the team has and all learning from each other. A lot of retail environments, no matter what you're selling, shoes or anything else, everyone's hyper competitive. We're very competitive. Everyone in the store wants to be better than everyone else, but they leverage each other to do that, right? What can I learn from this person that makes me better? So we're grateful to have the diversity.
Now, we're almost there, Jerry. You're doing great. Jerry, I'm
Okay.
not how far in your notes you've gotten so far.
Is this are we gonna sprint to the end?
Yeah, almost. Well, what I want to talk to you about is the Greater Washington Urban League
Okay.
and your Future Leaders in Mobility program.
Okay.
Right? I told you I did my research, Jerry. I did my research. And so obviously, part of that Future Leaders in Mobility program is about introducing urban, I call it urban students, young people, to the automotive industry,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Because you can talk about it, but you got to be about it, right? And one of the things I noticed that Lindsay promotes, and that's obviously they promote this, but in part of that process, some young folks from the Washington D.C. area came to Lindsay Volkswagen and met with you.
Yes, sir.
All right, tell us about that experience there.
So, so the president and CEO, George Lambert, is just an incredible person. I would encourage you to try to get him on a Kickin' Ass podcast because I think he could kick some ass. He's
Thank you for the plug.
So Volkswagen has had a partnership with the Washington area Greater Urban League for a long time, and we've been really fortunate to be a part of that. So essentially, they find interested youths that really want to explore options and find different ways of being successful, and they get them for a week. And Volkswagen, I think you and I have talked about, it's a huge brand. A lot of people don't realize how big it is. It's at any given year, first or second in the world compared to, so Toyota and Volkswagen go back and forth. Toyota has a lot of other things they own, Volkswagen the same. So Volkswagen, parent company of Audi, Bugatti, Bentley, Porsche, Lamborghini, Ducati motorcycles, and that's here. And then they have Electrify America. They have Audi Financial Services. They have financial services for each division. And then overseas, they've got even more, right? They've got things that we don't know: Skoda, Seat, MAN, Scania. They're huge. So they bring these kids in and they give them a week of exposing them to all the facets of what it looks like for an OEM, right? Do you want to be an engineer? Do you want to work in a factory? Do you want to work in the marketing department? Do you want to help with electric mobility? What do you see your place? Do you want to help retailers to improve their processes? Do you want to be a consultant, a data analyst? And they expose them to all these things for a week. And as a part of it, we're very fortunate to get to talk to them about what it's like on the franchise side, on the retail side. So as a retailer, what are the opportunities for us? And we'd love it. And we've really met some incredible kids. And some of them stayed in touch, and I'm really proud of the things they've accomplished. But we just show them, hey, here's what we've got. You've seen all the things that Volkswagen does. We've almost got our own little world where you can do this, and this is what that looks like, and this is how rewarding it would be. So we're really proud to be a part of that. Thank you for bringing that up.
Did they ask you any tough questions? I'm just curious.
Oh yeah. They catch me off guard all the time. So I think we've been doing it 7 or 8 years, and I feel like I've got at least a good idea of what to expect. And inevitably, they'll come up with something that I'm just not ready for, right? Sometimes they'll be really granular about margins, dollars. Sometimes it's more about the relationship between the retailer and the manufacturer. And then sometimes it's, when can I start and how much are you going to pay me? So
the practical. Absolutely. All of that matters. So now we actually now getting to the end. You've made it, right? You've made it. And it's what I typically ask of my guests. If it's 3 pieces of advice you can give to a business owner or a leader at a company, what would it be?
Okay. See, that would have been helpful again. I should have watched. I'm sorry. I should have watched your shows so that I knew what to expect. I think one of the things that has really helped me, and I think can help anyone, is knowing that there's nobody that sees things the way that you do. I think we make a lot of assumptions, right? We do it because of the way that we've gone through life and the things that we've been experienced to and the people we've known. And nobody, I mean, your kids, they grew up in the same household that you did. They had the same experience you do, and they don't see things the way you do, right? And so a lot of the way we behave and the choices we make and the rules and processes we implement for business are because we think that's what will motivate people and drive people. And you can't do that. You have to know that people see things differently, and how do you adapt to that, whether it's your client or somebody that works for your company. The other piece that I think is really important is just to ask questions, like all the time. I learn so much. Every day I learn something, and I think I know, and sometimes I'm right. Maybe I know a lot of it, but I learn something by asking more questions that I did not know before, or a different way to do it, or a nuance that's really critical to making me, my employees, my company, our business successful. So ask more questions than you think you need to ask. I'm going to sneak one in there that's not my third one. Walk the talk. Try to demonstrate the behavior that you expect. I think it's really important. It's silly. It's really silly. But most general managers have a special place to park at the store, right? And they can park, in a special place. I think that's goofy and silly. I think we're all here to work hard, do our job, and I park the same place that everybody else parks, and we all, it's a walk. It's a couple. We don't have a lot of space. But that's a small example. And then show them, right? If you want them to enthusiastically welcome people to your business, you have to enthusiastically welcome people to your business. You have to show them. And then hire people that are smarter than you. It's scary, but I would say everybody that works for me is smarter than me, and I'm lucky to have that. I learn from them all the time, and you'll learn, and you'll be better because of it. You'll be smarter.
That's awesome. That's awesome. But you gave about 5. So that's pretty good for someone who's not prepared, right? Right. That's pretty good there, Jerry. I mean, maybe you prepare, y'all get 5 more.
All right. The next one we do.
No, it's all good. So thank you so much for doing this podcast. I think that much of what you said will be new to my podcast audience, which is awesome. And much of what you've said has been said before by others, and that's great because it's reinforcing the things that's required to be successful in business as a leader or as an owner. So it's fantastic.
I'm really grateful. I was not sure I was a good fit, so I hope it works out, and I'm really flattered that you invited me. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining this episode, and I look forward to seeing you sooner than later. It won't have to be the next time I'm buying the car.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Kicking Ass and Taking Names. Remember, information is only as good as its application. So apply these insights and strategies and start making transformational changes to your business and life today. If you have not already, please subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and YouTube. Keep kicking ass and taking names.